setting new standards in podcast excellence. You have joined the WBT, fully focused on business and taxes. Here is your host, Michael Lodge.
And welcome to another podcast of the WBT. This is Michael Lodge. So, we've had a lot of disasters over the last few weeks, and we've had a lot of incidences where people have been harmed. And we as business people, a lot of times, do not prepare for any kind of disaster to come upon us. And it can happen at any given time. You never know when evil is going to strike. You never know when an employee will make such a grave, unethical decision that it will harm your business. So you always have to be prepared. You always have to be thinking of what you need to do as a business person to deal with some type of tragedy or one type of incident or anything that can hurt your business. Honestly, I've been through this before, and I know how it feels. When it first happens to you, you are struggling to know what to do. And then for some reason, something clicks inside your head that makes you do what's right for your business and for your employees. But it's better to know this up front of what needs to happen in case a disaster hits, or tragedy hits, or an unethical experience hits. You need to know what to do in case of an emergency. And it becomes an emergency. It becomes that you feel as if it's almost a disaster. And I can't stress this enough to each and every single one of you, that if you do not think about this process, and if you do not plan and understand what has to happen, you are going to panic even more. So I want to help you out today based on my experience of what has happened. And luckily I found a good example, a good article in Inc. magazine that kind of gives me a guideline of how to help you in this. One of the things that's very important is that you have to put your customers first before anything else. I mean, it's like more than ever, you have to put your customers' needs. Okay, the old adage that the captain is the last off the ship is all about customer service. Make sure that the people depending on you are taken care of. Be proactive in dealing with their needs. Get them information before, during, and after the crisis events. Keep them informed. Ensure employees are safe. No one can care for customers when you're in peril. Make sure that your employees are not so scared that they start running from your business and not come back. But I want to talk about that just for 1 second, because I noticed that when I went through the crisis, my loyal employees stayed. My weak employees left. Those loyal employees are still with me to this very day. So sometimes employees, the weak employees, it's kind of like a weeding out process when a crisis hits. It really shows you who your weak employees are. So you take care of your good employees. And you should be very thankful for employees who will stick with you during the crisis. They are truly a blessing. And then you need to practice. Conduct dry runs of your company's plans, including under the assumption of things going disastrously wrong. Think about the process. I think that I'm lucky because in my own situation, I'm always thinking about the process of my clients when they're going through a hardship or going through a disaster. So when they came to me, I kind of just jumped into what I had already been telling them. Then you need to build redundant systems, which means make sure more than one person knows your systems, and that you have more than one way to get things done. Important systems, procedures should be stored centrally and with backup. I'm very lucky because several years ago, I knew that within my line of business, I was looked at very closely by the Federal Trade Commission, because we are, as tax practitioners, we are under the banking system because of data control of our clients' information. So I had a plan of action in place just in case a disaster hit. Each and every single one of you should have a plan of action. Write it down of what you would do in case something should happen. Go through every scenario that you think could happen. Especially look at employees' ethics. That is a big disaster if something hits, because it destroys your name very quickly. So you need to know what to do and step in and do it. You need to consider the worst case scenario. When creating a plan, consider the implausible. Ask where a black swan event might be lurking. Be it a terrorist attack, product contamination, and blackmail, natural disaster, employees' ethics, or something else entirely. Consider the worst case. And then you need to appoint an operational leader. It's natural for everyone to want to jump in to help, to assess what happened. Plans work best if someone is in charge and has been designated a crisis manager. Then you need to appoint a spokesperson. Make sure the media and whoever you're talking to know who the official voice of the company is, and that your team knows to drive all requests and questions to that one source. If everybody starts talking, you get a whole bunch of messages out there. You need to design what your message is going to be, what your storyline is, and how you're going to take care of the situation. There can only be one voice. So if any questions or gripes or complaints, it should all go to that one voice. Otherwise, everything gets confused. That's what we did when the crisis hit our firm a long time ago. I automatically appointed a spokesperson, one that was articulate, one that knew how to tell a good story. And then we designed the response that would be to each one of our clients, to put them at ease, to know that we were still there supporting them. So that's why you need to clarify your message. Be intentional about what you want people to know. Take the time to craft a simple, empathetic, action-oriented message. Communicate the gravity of the problem and the determination of your company and your staff to rectify it as soon as possible. Do not waste time in the middle of a crisis assessing blame. It does nothing to address a problem. Laying blame or pointing fingers does nothing to resolve the issue of the crisis with your clients and with your vendors and your bankers and whoever else that you have to deal with. Clarify your message. Appoint a spokesman. Those two things will help you tremendously, because that's exactly what we did. And I tell you, it created confidence within our client base. And the majority of them came back. In fact, we got new clients. So, and avoid self-promotion. Don't have people promoting themselves as if they are the grandiose spokesperson for the company, or that they know everything about what's going on. Plan your response. Clarify your message. Appoint a spokesperson. Those two things can save you a lot of time and a lot of hassle and a lot of embarrassment, because you don't want everybody talking to everybody. And there are media people that call in, and the first person on the phone, if that person does not know what to say, can do a lot of damage. one person, one message. And then after everything's done, do a post-mortem. During the crisis, start a parallel process to the response to assess what happened. When the crisis has been addressed, ask what happened. What do we learn from this? And how can we make things better? And what can we do to make sure this never happens again? I'm telling you, disasters can strike a company at any time. Predicting them is impossible, but preparing for them is essential. And I'm telling you this, I have been through this, and I have, on my personal level, on my firm, and also on helping clients who have gone through the same situation. Crisis control is so vital, and so you need to plan this out. You need to sit down with your staff and say, okay, what would happen if this happened? What would happen if that happened? What would be our response? Make sure that the individual who is going to communicate your response is a good communicator and doesn't get frustrated and has a lot of patience, because you get some really dumb questions over and over and over again. And you get a lot of mail that will make absolutely no sense from people who have nothing to do with your company. And they will send in stupid things. I've even received in one crisis where they sent in a letter that just rambled on and on and on and had a condom attached to it. And we had no idea what the condom was for or what it even meant. But the individual who wrote the letter, he just rambled on and on. So you have to make sure that you are patient and that you don't pay attention to stupidness. But you stay focused on your message and you stay focused on your clients and making sure that they are taken care of. So every one of you who own a small business or if you're a startup, think about crisis control. Because at some point in time, you will have it. It's very easy for employees to act stupid really at some point in time and create a big issue for you. Crisis management is very, very important. If you have any questions regarding crisis management, just send me an email at mlodge, M-L-O-D-G-E, at lodge-co.com, and I promise you I will respond to you. If you need a disaster or a crisis management program written for you, let me know, and I'll sit down with you and we'll work one out for you after we know what your company's about, how many employees you have, and doing the whole analysis of your company or your small business. But you need, and I stress this, a crisis management plan just in case something happens. Think about what would happen if that scenario affected your company. And with so many people out there that hate, you never know when a incident may happen. If you have any questions, just let me know and I'll walk you through it. But remember, crisis management is vital. Put a plan in place. This is Mike Lodge, and I will talk with you soon.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.